We're going to talk about a few different things. Uh, Listen, guys, do you carry a concealed carry permit? Do you have a permit? Do you carry a gun? Do you use guns? I want to talk tonight about our politicians and their plans for your guns. And why does this come up? Well, if concealed carry permits aren't safe, who is? Do you trust permit holders? I do, basically. I think most people want to be law abiding. I think most people who are responsible gun owners and carry concealed carry permits are exactly the kind of person you want walking around in society with a gun, right? Well, who doesn't want that? The Republicans, the Democrats, or both? It turns out that neither does. At least the political class doesn't. And who's included in the political class? I'm going to include Doug Mastriano, who's running for the Republican ticket here in Pennsylvania, and Ron DeSantis from Florida. And why? They're having a planned rally coming up in Pittsburgh, and they put down the word that there will be airport grade security, and it is a no-go zone for guns. A no-go zone. Republicans are holding a rally, and they don't trust you to bring a gun. Now, people will say, well, Carl, anybody could come in with a gun, even kooks and crazies. So I said, okay, let's refine this a little bit. Pennsylvania has a vetting system where you can get a concealed carry permit, right? And you can get your concealed carry permit by doing a background check through the sheriff that proves you're not a deranged individual. And then they issue you this license to carry the gun concealed. You can carry the gun concealed in the mall, in the grocery store, on the street. You can carry it into the courthouse and check it in with the sheriff when you get there. Not sure how I feel about that one, but you can at least carry it into the venue, right? These guys have said, I want to be a Republican governor and I believe in gun rights. I want to be a Republican governor and I believe in gun rights. Or I want to be the third option is I want to be a president eventually and I believe in gun rights. And I think more guns is important. That gun-free zones are more dangerous than non-gun-free zones, right? But what do these guys want to do? They don't want you to bring your gun to their rally. Why is this important? Some of you guys, again, are going to be like, well, Carl, come on, be realistic. You know, in the Bible, there's a little story, right? They write Paul and they say, hey, maybe 2 Corinthians, can we eat the meat from the idol? Can we eat the meat from the idol? Because, we know it's not a real God and it's perfectly good meat. And why shouldn't we be able to eat it? And he writes him back and says, yeah, eating the meat to the idol because you're not worshiping the idol in one way isn't a big deal. But the example you will be setting for the heathens, the people who aren't Christians, who don't understand that this God that it was sacrificed to means nothing to you, would say, bad example. They would misread this situation. So let's pretend hypothetically that there is a Democratic soccer mom somewhere in Pennsylvania, and let's name her Karen for some unknown reason, right? And this woman named Karen has a couple kids, and she's concerned about people carrying guns in public places. And she actually doesn't like the idea of you going into the mall. Karen here is upset that you're going into the mall with a concealed carry permit on and walking around with a gun, and she wants to do something to change this. What could Karen point at from Republican leadership to say, obviously concealed carry permit holders are dangerous individuals or unsafe or can't be trusted? Well, Karen could point at the fact that Doug Mastriano and Ron DeSantis don't want you as a concealed carry permit holder to bring a gun into their venue because you might be dangerous, right? Isn't that what they're saying by their actions? Just like Paul told the Corinthians, right? The church at Corinth, I guess, as I should say, said, hey, guys, your actions speak as loudly or louder than your words, all right? Where am I going with this? Doug Mastriano and Rick DeSantis need you unarmed? No, but they're sending a message. And here's the problem. It's the frog in the pot scenario. Slowly boiling off your ability to freely carry firearms. Too many no-go zones make carrying pointless. Isn't that what New York State's trying to do right now? They've said, okay, the Supreme Court has ordered us to allow you to have a concealed carry permit, But you can't go into a restaurant unless they have a sign up that says you're welcome to conceal carry into this restaurant. You can't go into any government buildings with your gun. You can't go near any schools with your gun. You can't go near any place, and they're listing dozens and dozens of places you can't go with it. So you're a concealed carry permit holder. You strap this gun on, you walk out your door. Oh, wait, I got to take it off and put it back in the car because I can't go into the Starbucks to get my coffee. Maybe I'll go to the Dunkin' Donuts doesn't have that sign either. The McDonald's doesn't have that sign either. I guess I have to go through the drive-through. Oh, wait, I live in New York City and I don't drive. That's the plan, right? The frog in the pot. They are slowly constricting where you can carry guns. And this is happening in Pennsylvania and the political class on both sides of the aisles behind it. Otherwise, Mastriano would come out, right? He's a radical. He'll say what's on his mind. He claims to speak his mind. I'm calling on Doug Mastriano to allow concealed carry permit holders to attend any events that he does in Pennsylvania unless a president or former president's in attendance, and the Secret Service won't allow it. I'm not sure I agree with that either. But concealed carry permit holders should be allowed to show their permit and bring their gun into any Republican event that happens in this state that isn't being controlled by somebody. Now, Democrats, I say, should allow it too, right? And I think we have pro-gun Democrats. But too many concealed carry permit restrictions make them worthless. And you're setting an example. When Mastriano and DeSantis say this, they are setting an example, okay? So again, I'm saying it's the frog in the pot scenario. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this. If any of you want to call in and discuss, 717-906-5319. I'll take a call or two here so we can talk about what's going on. And also, I've got some chat here. Let's see. Deborah says, and I like this, I believe both parties have the same agenda. New York is Democrat. That's right. New York is Democrat. Yet it's two major Republicans. It's the Republican who has been anointed to take Trump's place, Ron DeSantis, who doesn't want you to have a gun at a Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania event. He's coming to our state, and he doesn't care about our concealed carry permit holders. Now, Don says, why would a normal person carry a gun in any of those places? Scared? Yeah, they have the right to carry a gun. It's the Second Amendment. We believe and we love it. I think we love it. Make your politicians acknowledge it, or just like the church, saying eat the false meat, worship the false idol, it sends the message. And I know Don loves when I use religious examples, right? So yeah, I think we're on to something here, right? I think we're on to something here. What else do I want to talk about? I'm going to turn tax from guns for 1 second here, and I'm going to come back to them. But I'm looking for anybody, again, that wants to discuss that issue of guns, 717-906-5319. Happy to talk to you about it. Again, my theory being you have to lead by example. And if we keep losing places that people can carry, I can't carry anymore, right? I'm a felon, not to possess. But that doesn't mean that I think the Second Amendment, in fact, I think felons should be able to possess after a period of time for obvious reasons, right? Self-interest. But also because, once again, it's how the government has stripped rights from people by creating lifetime bans for nonviolent felons. What is the benefit from that? What is the benefit? Oh, it discourages felonies, I guess. But guess what, kids? If they move the laws around enough, right? A few years back, they made it so people with misdemeanors can't own their guns under the Lautenberger Amendment, no matter how old that misdemeanor is. No matter how old that misdemeanor is. Police officers lost their job under that scenario. So I do want to talk about the guns. Now, are you out of touch? You guys love me when I do this, but Disney's up. There's no big boycott of Disney showing in their financials. If anything, they're back to full throttle business again. They're selling subscriptions on their service. Abortion was voted down. Freedom, or I should say, the restrictions on abortion were voted down in Kansas, so a 60% margin, right, to give the legislature any control to monkey with the law. And South Carolina just killed their special hearing on it. Doug Mastriano has stopped saying about he doesn't think that there should be no exceptions for women. He's kind of getting really mealy-mouthed about what his actual abortion views are. And a majority of Americans want Trump charged. They want Trump charged with some kind of crime. Now, what happened down in Mar-a-Lago? Well, it wasn't Epstein who was at Mar-a-Lago this time, right? It wasn't Mar-a-Lago. It wasn't Epstein this week at Mar-a-Lago. Were they classified papers or minor mementos? If they were minor mementos, or there's nothing dynamite here, shame on Merrick Garland. Shame on him. Josh, you got you, brother. What's up?
Hey, Carl.
How you doing, brother?
I'm not bad. I'm out in the public outside the bunker.
Okay. You out the bunker, huh?
Out the bunker. So, no, I mean, I think, as far as, them wanting not to carry the gun or whatever, it's just going to create controversy anymore because, everybody already gave up their rights under the National Defense Authorization Act, the Patriot Act. So you don't have a right to carry any firearms anywhere for the last decade.
Well,
that's why you have to go through security and the TSA to get into the airplane.
Right.
You have to go into security checkpoints to get into every single public venue, Hershey Park or stadium anywhere in the state. It's all predetermined. It has nothing to do with the candidate.
Yeah, no, they could hold that event somewhere or say we are going to require it as a condition of holding that event. They've chosen that because whichever PAC or whoever is creating these events has taken this position, probably for insurance reasons, quite frankly. But that's where the politicians say one thing and then do another, right? I mean, oh, I'm going to fight for your gun rights, but don't you dare bring a gun to my event.
I mean, you're very observant. I think you do a good job at trying to point out a lot of controversies and straight, things that people just overlook, just in the regular media.
Right, and I'm
nice that you're doing that.
What I'm trying to point out here, and this is my concern. I think people are slowly getting cooked by the political class. And the political class is slowly taking your rights away. And it's not a Republican issue. And it's not a Democrat issue. Listen, I have some dear friends on Facebook who are always telling me, Joe Biden's trying to collapse the economy. And this is the plan. There's no great plan, I don't think, to collapse the economy. What there is ever increasing bureaucratic state powered by politicians who really aren't that interested in your freedom. They'll say what they want to say to get your vote. And they'll present a certain way, and they'll even follow through on some of the things they say. But their actions ultimately speak louder than their words. And the fact that Doug Mastriano is not coming out and saying, hey, or Ron DeSantis is not coming out and saying, hey, why can't a concealed carry permit holder show his permit or her permit and say, I've been vetted. I'm not just some guy that showed up with a gun because I'm a kook. I'm a safe person, right? Because if the concealed carry permit people can't be trusted, who can you trust with a gun?
When you get a sheriff's office and you get your concealed carry permit, what would be the difference in the background check between that and if you actually were law enforcement? I think the background check itself would actually probably be pretty close to identical and wouldn't prohibit any type of firearm ownership in either scenario. Right. So what makes a law enforcement person more qualified to be in a scenario with people? And if it's a requirement to be trained properly, then maybe they should train people in high schools on how to properly carry firearms. Because we've seen about gotten away from that since the 50s.
Well, and let me tell you something. When you say police officers, right? So when I was doing trials years ago, I represented a police officer in a death penalty case because he took a service weapon to a hospital and gunned down his wife. Okay? So, yeah, the fact that somebody's a police officer doesn't mean that their firearm will always be used in accordance with the law. And I guess there's always an outside risk of that. My biggest problem is if I was someone who's opposed to gun rights and gun ownership, right? If I was opposed to gun rights and gun ownership, I would be making great hay of this and saying, see, these guys want your kids to be at the mall. They want your kids to walk around in public with these nuts with concealed carry permits, but they don't want these people anywhere near them because they don't trust them. They don't trust them. Doug Mastriano and Ron DeSantis are going to do as much harm to gun owners as anything else by simply sending the message to the society in general that you can't trust gun owners and you can't trust concealed carry permit holders. They aren't safe. That's the message they're sending.
I think maybe at one particular event, but in the long haul, they have a track record of leadership in Florida. The sheriffs say we encourage our citizens to shoot people that in your property, and right. They're proud of it, and they're not going to back down for any type of invasive act. Nobody's going to down there.
Well,
around here, oh my goodness, you defended yourself. Oh, now you have to spend $30,000 to fix yourself in court.
Listen.
I mean, if you don't hire like 3 attorneys and like, you know, have some type of weird stuff go on, you're not ever going to get, you know, found innocent or the rightfully, you know, accused. What happened to you, the scenario becomes, you know, truthful. You know what I mean? It's always going to be, you know, under a certain set of lies is you're going to be your predicament. You're not going to get anything more than that.
Josh, I was on Bob Durgan years ago when Bob called me about a case where a guy in Perry County had his business broken into. He went to the business. He went in there, and a guy jumped out with a claw hammer and attacked him. He shot him dead. Okay? And Perry County would be the one county in Pennsylvania where you would figure law enforcement would be like, hey, business owner attacked by burglar, shot burglar in self-defense. We probably shouldn't hassle this guy. Well, the then district attorney at the time was in the newspaper saying he was looking into whether to bring charges or not because he thought the business owner made a mistake by going into his business to investigate when he, quote, should have waited for the police to arrive. Now, the average response time back then for the state police was like 45 minutes to the Shermansdale area from the Newport Barracks, right? So even in Perry County, Pennsylvania, a gun owner who defends himself is getting second guessed by law enforcement. And I'm not saying that Mastriano and DeSantis are anti-gun completely, right? What I'm saying is they're making a critical mistake by not supporting lawful gun owners, by allowing lawful gun owners to come to their events. I think that's whatever else good they're doing terrible harm with that, and they should be called out on it. That to me is a big problem, because here's the deal. Every time we create a new place where guns can't be brought, right? Pretty soon there's no place you can carry a gun or effectively carry a gun.
Well, for example, in Florida, it's a strange policy where you can't carry a gun in the open or like that anywhere unless you're doing like hunting or fishing, and that's the only time you can have a gun. All right?
Right.
But in Texas, you can carry a gun anywhere, all the time. No problems. It becomes strange if you probably see somebody without a gun. You'd be like, wait. How's this guy not armed? You know, because it's a different, you know, that's just their culture.
When I was growing up,
you know how they do it different there.
When I was, if you look at my Facebook wall, you'll see a picture of me holding some muskrats, right? So when I was growing up, I used to ride on my 10-speed with my shotgun in one hand and a dead rabbit in the other, coming back from the farm where I hunted, because that's how I got around back in those days, right? And nobody thought anything of it in my little hometown, of a kid with a shotgun in one hand riding around on his bike, because he obviously was probably going hunting, right? Scott says, does anyone remember the soccer mom who opened carry to the kids' sporting events? It probably goes back 10 years. I do remember her. I remember Durgan and I talked about her extensively. I cannot remember whatever happened with her. With her.
Well, I mean, you're sparking the gun debate. The gun thing's always, you know, this seems to be like a, you know, time of year where that comes around. But there's a lot of things happening there. I mean, we're talking to this one guy. He had an opportunity in 15 seconds to disarm or stop an assailant out in the mall.
Right.
And, well, surely, you know, but then we had this other incident where the police are supposed to, you know, wait for the police to respond, like you just mentioned, and then we won't fine you so bad if you would have, you know, waited for the police to respond. But in this situation, we waited 77 minutes until some of, like, people from a barbershop and, like, the parents ran in and stopped the guy from shooting up their kids.
Listen, Uvalde, Texas is a great example of why do we trust law enforcement? Why do we trust law enforcement with, apparently Scott's saying that lady that used to carry the guns deceased. Scott, do we know how she died? Hopefully not with the firearm, right? That would probably set a bad example. And of course, I used a soccer mom as my example named Karen. And this lady, I believe, was a soccer mom as well, but she was a concealed carry permit soccer mom. But I was getting back to, that's a great example because law enforcement there had the firearms. They could fire back. And they turned into shambles, right? In other cases, we have civilian shooters who do just as well. Listen, guys.
Well, in both cases, from what I understand, in both cases, the FBI was involved with, you know, social media with all these people. All right, and just even by maybe it's just, you know, we're observing and making sure everything's fine, but if they're not able to do their job by their observation or their search of, you know, public records. And it seems to be unfruitful in most instances where they're involved beforehand when people die in masses.
Right.
Why are they involved in even the social interference at all? Why do they even look? Why don't they care to look? Would they be better off sitting in the mall on a bench waiting for something to happen?
Well, here's the problem. What you find out is the world's a big place. So if you remember after 9/11, somebody was like, oh, they might poison the reservoirs, right? And then somebody started to figure out how many reservoirs are there and how many guards do you need to guard reservoirs. We don't have enough guards in the world to guard everything we need to guard. So we have to have social trust. We have to have a society where there are enough honest people or enough good people that these bad things are only done by a small amount of people. Now, that's what's interesting with the guns, by the way. Again, what people say to me is, but Carl, you don't understand, like some nut might come to this thing. Well, isn't that the argument that my hypothetical Karen's going to use about the mall? That one of these guys with a gun might be a nut? So why is that different for the politicians? Why do they get extra protection than the civilians? That's where it drives me nutty. That they can hold an event and tell you not to bring your guns, and all my Second Amendment friends put their little tails between their legs and get in the fetal position and say, oh, well, Carl, you have to understand, they're just trying to protect people.
Well, I mean, you're talking about like the soccer mom, right? And I remember, I don't know if it's the same story or not, there was a lady that she was just simply open, she had her firearm on her head.
Right.
She's like in a holster on her head, and she went to a soccer game or whatever.
That's the woman they were talking about, yeah.
Out, and the police showed up, and I was like, I don't know if that's the same story.
Listen,
but,
well, listen. A judge here in Cumberland County used to say, and now we'll inject some race into this, right? He said, a white guy can put a shotgun over his shoulder and walk around downtown Carlisle in front of the courthouse, and the police might give him an eyeball. But if a black guy tried to do that in downtown Carlisle, they'd be all over him because they'd make the assumption that one's a redneck with the gun and the other one's a criminal. And I always thought that was an interesting observation from a judge who often stood in judgment of the police force, right?
Well, so I mean, even if you had like your gun, like if you were at the gas pump, right? And it was in your left pocket, and you wanted to move it to your right pocket.
Right.
Maybe you shouldn't have done that at the gas pump or something. But you had the gun, and you know your gun, but you moved it, you brandished it in public. So now you brandished your arm. Somebody got offended because they saw your firearm. Now what you get to do is, Carl, you get to spend the next 8 years away from your children. So you get to spend that time with some people in a prison cell.
Yeah, I did that already. Let me tell you about Pennsylvania. That's interesting. If you have a concealed carry permit, the sheriff says, I don't want you open carrying, okay? But if you don't have one, you can't have it loaded in the car and all that, but you can open carry because there's nothing illegal about open carry in Pennsylvania. And so in Florida, however, if you have a gun and it becomes visible, that's the issue. So in Pennsylvania, you can actually have a gun completely visible. But in Florida, if it's partially visible, you're going to get yourself in all kinds of trouble. It's just, every state varies on their theory about whether open or concealed is a better form of carry. Now, I did open carry event before at Harrisburg Beer and Cigar years ago, where we talked, I did a gun law session, and we talked about gun laws and self-defense, and everybody open carried over there. That was kind of interesting. But anyhow, what I want to get back to, and Josh, I'm going to let you go and see if anybody else wants to call. Thank you again, brother. Anybody else want to call in? 717-906-5319. We'll take your call. Remember, my theory here tonight is because two guys who are certified, conservative, strong advocates for firearms, right? And so you guys know I don't like Mastriano, right? DeSantis, we can discuss another day. I definitely don't like Mastriano by way of full, open, honest, right? But he's one of the guys who says, I'm your conservative's conservative. I'm the guy you can trust on to protect your gun rights, right? Okay, that's him. But don't come to my event with a gun because we're scared. Scared of what? Scared of what? That's my issue with it. Please don't come with a gun. My name's Doug Mastriano, and you cannot bring a firearm to my event because I am frightened. but I'm the man who will protect you against those evil Democrats who want to take your guns, right? Can't have it both ways, Doug. Pick one. Pick one. I hope somebody shares this with Doug. Maybe he's nutty enough to actually follow along with what I'm saying, and run the politics of this. He should be sending a message to Republicans of the state, to Democrats of the state, that I believe in guns. I trust gun owners. I trust gun owners. But because there might be some gun owners that are a little flaky out there who lawfully own their guns, right? Or unlawfully own their guns. But if they're a concealed carry permit owner, we know they lawfully own their gun, and we know that they don't have a criminal record, and we know that they're at the malls with our kids every day. We know that they're in our shopping areas with our kids every day. We know that they're in the community with us every day. If they're good enough for me and they're good enough for you, why aren't they good enough for Doug Mastriano? Doug Mastriano doesn't want you to bring a gun. He don't want you to bring a gun because he's concerned that it might not be safe to have you at the venue as a concealed carry permit holder with a gun because, bad things could happen. Oh, wait, I said bad things can happen with a gun. I meant no bad things happen with a gun. But please don't bring one to my event. If concealed carry permits aren't safe, who is? Do you trust permit holders? If you do, send an email to Doug Mastriano. Tell him, hey, why are you supporting this? Is Ron DeSantis running the show? Is the guy from Florida telling you what to do? Is that what's going on? Man up. Man up. It goes back to my theory, the frog in the pot slowly boiling off free carry, okay? Too many no-go zones makes carrying pointless. And I know not everybody here is in favor of carrying guns, right? Let's see here. Yeah, you love the impressions. Scott says, murder-suicide. Wasn't clear who died first, soccer mom or husband. They left 3 kids behind. Egats! There's the soccer mom who carried the gun to open carry, and now she's a murder-suicide victim / perpetrator. Who knows? Adding more intrigue. Maybe that's why Doug Mastriano doesn't want people carrying the guns to his event. So does Doug Mastriano really believe in firearms or not? That's my challenge for him. Now, he's never going to come on this show. I'm not right-wing media, right? He likes podcasts, but I'm not considered one of their friendlies. I'm not anti-Semitic enough like Gab, right? Or whatever that is. Parler? No, Gab. Is it Gab? I don't know. One of the right-wing sites, the one that he's strongly associated with, the ones that are sure that Jews will not replace them kind of guys. I don't qualify, so I don't think Doug will come on with me. That said, my concern again, I'm just going to go back to this one more time. Okay, let's just go through this real simple lesson. If you believe in the Bible, right, there's a lesson in there. It's that what you do speaks louder than what you say. So you say you're for firearms, but you don't want them around you at your campaign events. You say you're for firearms, but you don't want them around you at your campaign events. Paul told the church, right? What you do is important because the people who don't believe what you believe will see what you do. They don't care what you say. They see what you do. Simple. Very simple lesson. It's actually a good lesson. It's a Christian lesson. It's a humanist lesson. It's a lesson that an atheist can appreciate as well, right? It's a good secular lesson or a Christian lesson, i.e., actions speak louder than words. So when you send this signal to the world that you shall not bring a gun to this event, that guns are not welcome at their political rally, do not bring a gun to my event because guns are unsafe and you might do something bad with it and I am scared that you might shoot me or somebody else. Draw a line somewhere besides no guns. How about concealed carry permit holders and say, well, if you have a concealed carry permit, I know you're a safe person. I know you're the kind of person that I say makes society safer. Ron DeSantis has always said that gun-free zones are more dangerous to your health than open carry areas. put your money where your mouth is, Mr. DeSantis, Mr. Mastriano. If you want leadership position, you want to lead with integrity, do it. If you want to talk out one side of your mouth and do something different and encourage restrictions of the Second Amendment and concealed carry and just carry in general, then do that. But be honest about it, okay? Pick one side and fight for it. You could simply say to that group, pick another venue, buy a different insurance policy, or I'm not showing up. I'm not showing up. All right, I think that's the show for tonight. I could prattle on forever. Deborah, they're speaking more towards schools, maybe? No, they're speaking towards Mastriano and DeSantis. They're speaking towards their political rallies. They don't want guns at their political rally, at their spot. There may be kids there. There's kids at the mall. Go to the mall. Go to the Walmart. Go walk around Carlisle. Walk to the playground. I can carry, if I had a concealed carry permit, I can carry in all those places, right? It's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. No, please don't bring it to my political rally. I might get hurt. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. All right? That's it. And listen, I know you're like, oh, Carl, you just love, you never beat up on Joe Biden. Hey, I know where Joe Biden stands on guns, right? He at least tells me honestly he wants to take them all away. Well, if Mastriano and DeSantis don't want to take them all away, or don't want to arm the people who want to take them all away, don't want to help the people who want to take them all away, then they need to man up. That's my challenge for them. Have a good night. I hope you guys share this, by the way. Share this because my goal tonight would be for one of those two men to say, you know what? These guys are right. Not Carl's right. These guys are right. Carrying a firearm, particularly for concealed carry permit holder, is a good thing. And I want them at my rally because I want to set an example to the left that we do what we believe.